Hey guys, thought I might just talk a little bit about the bike. This is a 2008 KTM 530 exc-r, kind of an old bike. I bought this maybe 2.5 years ago. It had about, I think 6 or 7,000 miles and about 200 hours on it. Now it's got about 300 and close to 8,600 miles on it. And I've done so much work to this bike. Like I think when I bought it, I didn't really know. I knew the kind of trip I wanted to take, and I knew the kind of bike I wanted. I wanted something really light that if I was in some difficult terrain, I could just easily pick it up by myself. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about some of the customizations and sort of repairs I've done. Of course, like the most obvious thing is I put this huge gas tank on it. This is a 6-gallon tank. It had a 3.2-gallon IMS tank, which was much smaller and, may I say, more attractive. But for where I wanted to go, I didn't want to have to worry about range. So a 6-gallon tank just sort of solves all those problems. I get maybe around 40 miles a gallon. So you're looking at 200 plus miles of range. It came with some sort of desirable upgrades, nothing too crazy. It had the suspension done once before. I was told for someone about my weight, but I really don't know what they did. I just had the suspension redone here in San Francisco at Super Plush Suspension, and they said the springs were not the right weight, or not the right type for me. They were too stiff, actually. The rear was too stiff. But it felt like it rode low, so I think maybe the preload was just off. It had a fan kit installed. You can't really see the fan when I bought it. You can see it through there. The fan, when I bought it, was broken, and it had a thermostat on it. But I think the thermostat went bad as I was trying to replace the fan, and I decided to just wire the fan to a switch on the bar. So now I have this switch that turns the fan on and off, and it's wired directly to the battery. It had a hose kit put on it. What else? That was about it. It was pretty stock. These bar guards, or hand guards, are pretty substantial. Those are pretty nice. I broke the mirrors that came with it, so I got a nicer set of mirrors. It had this steering damper. I put a RAM mount on the bar for my nav, which is usually an iPhone with Gaia GPS, which is great. It had these LED indicators, which kind of suck, actually, put on it. You can't really see them from behind. From the front, they're not too bad. I would probably even take the originals if I could find them. So I found these nicer switches, which are more integrated, which gave me more room for this switch as well. Let's see, the seat I bought, kind of an expensive but necessary upgrade. This bike is carbureted, which means it doesn't have a fuel pump to fail, which I kind of like. I painted these side covers twice now, once with sort of a paint that was not very durable, and now I have this gloss black enamel, which is just from the hardware store, which seems to be holding up better. You can scrape it off, and you'll see some of it is scraped off on the other side. I just finished safety wiring this bolt. I had it come out once, and that was not a fun day. I replaced the counter shaft. The counter shaft was really worn, which you can't really see just by looking at the bike when you buy it, so I had to replace that. I replaced the brakes and rotors. The brakes were just not very good on this bike when I got it. It's had a new chain and new front sprocket since then. When I had the engine apart, I really didn't replace too much else. I replaced most of the seals I could easily get to. The rear brakes and rotor I've done. This fender I replaced, but it's already got a hole in it. It rubs on the swing arm. Yeah, this one I painted too, but you know, you just scratch it up. It had a venting issue in the clutch side of the engine. The kickstart idler pulley, it has a bushing and a hole in it which vents the crank, or vents this case, and that bushing will slide inside that gear if you try to kickstart it. So the remedy is to take it out, push the bushing out, line the bushing back up, and reinsert it with Loctite so the bushing doesn't spin in the gear. So that I fixed. What else? The tires I replaced once. This I currently have sent the plate to the DMV to get a new one. This plate is new. Before it just had 2 holes drilled through here through the license plate, and I was pretty sure I was going to lose the plate on the next trip, so I'm fixing that up. They paid $4,000 for this, but I've done quite a bit to it, as you can tell. But it's been fun to work on, and I'm gearing up for the next trip, and let's hope the next trip goes well. I did have a wiring issue with the starter solenoid. The copper had just vibration had broken it off eventually. But I fixed that up and pressed a new end on there, so it starts well, runs well. I did the wheel bearings, I think on both ends. Before I was about to take off on that long trip, I noticed the rear wheel was kind of like sloppy on the bearings. So I had to do that last minute and replace those. But everything is really solid now. I lubricated all the sort of suspension points when I had it apart. And yeah, other than that, it's pretty well stock. I have a tank bag and a set of small bags which I carry tools and other stuff in, and then yeah, this little rack, it just attaches to the subframe, so it's not meant to carry a lot of weight, but it basically is a good place for me to bungee a backpack when I go on these trips, and that's about all I carry is a backpack because I stay in hotels most of the time. I replaced the tail light thing, it was kind of cracked up, and yeah, that's a walk around. I'm looking forward to going on some adventures if we get out of quarantine. It has had a jet kit. I don't know how much that helps or how badly this is jetted stock. I do have the stock can, which I don't know, it's fine. It makes enough power, 50 some horsepower. It'll do 80 on the freeway, and it doesn't feel too sketch. It's pretty well planted. You don't have a lot of wind protection, but I'm not looking to do a lot of freeway miles on this bike anyway. So that's it. The KTM 530, good old bike.